So, good evening, folks. Here we are live once again. It's Friday night. So, welcome to Friday Night Tech Talk. I'm Mobile Geezer. You're on my channel on YouTube, or you're watching me live on one of my Facebook accounts, which is either Mobile Geezer or George Hayes. So, all three are live right now, and you can watch me any Friday night on any of the three of them. We get together here every Friday night and we talk about some of the interesting tech stories from the past week. And if you're new here, please type something in the comments. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you're from. We usually have people from around the U.S. and we get one or two. Usually we have Renz from the Philippines, although he works on Saturday, which is what it is in the Philippines right now, but he often manages to get in, and occasionally one of the guys in England, I think London, will pop in and say hello too, which it's like 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning, I think, over there right now. So that's very kind of them also. But we like to discuss a few of the stories from the past week. I would like to recognize who's in here. Eleanor got in here first. She's the only one that said anything in the comments, so I don't know who else might be watching, but we have some regulars that usually drop in. So we'll go over these stories. Last week we had Ted for the whole show. And, I wanted to remind everybody, next week, special week, Mike is going to run the show from his channel, Simply Your Device. So Mike's making a big deal out of it. It's been a while since he's done a show. He's usually door dashing on Friday nights. So remember, next week, don't tune into to Mobile Geezer. Tune into Simply Your Device, and Mike will be hosting. So just wanted to make sure. I'll try to remember to say that at the end of the show also. So every week I put show notes up on my website. So let me show you where that is. Let me share my screen. So here's tonight's show notes. If you go to my website, which is mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, if you click on today's date, you'll get just tonight's subjects and articles. And as I always do, I will show you a preview of what we're going to go over while we're here. So the first story I found interesting, I said everything you wanted to know about the Galaxy Galaxy S23 FE. That's on Phone Arena. And of course, there's been rumors about the FE coming out soon, but a leaker has got a lot of specs out here. So we'll go over that. A lot of people will be interested in that, I'm sure. Then we're going to follow it up with a quick story. Elon is at it again on X, formerly Twitter. No more blocking, he says. So they're going to change it so you cannot block, users cannot block each other. Users are not happy, so we'll go over that. Hasn't been implemented quite yet, but you know how Elon is. He tells you this is what we're going to do, but he may not even legally be able to do that, at least not to keep Apple. So we'll go over that. And then Apple surprised everybody. You know, Apple likes to mouth that they support right to repair, but they haven't really supported. And California has one of the best right to repair bills, and Apple hasn't been supporting it. All of a sudden, they've done this turnaround, and now they're looks like they're going to support it. So I said Apple supporting California right to repair bill. Believe it when you see it. That'll be on Tech Radar, so we'll talk about that. And then I found, this is tonight's long story, will foldables catch on worldwide as they have in South Korea? So this writer was one of the many that went to South Korea for the presentation of the Samsung's presentation, and she started writing about the foldables and how prolific they are all over South Korea. So it's a pretty good article, and I think it may affect us all in the near future. We'll see. And then Threads has only been a mobile app as of this week. It is now also on the web. So there's a web version out there. And finally, I found on BBC News, I said the tech behemoths must knuckle under to the EU or pay the price. They're all in. See, I've kind of got all the biggies on here, that's for sure. They all have to follow the new rules that the EU put them under, and they've had some months to get ready, but now they're coming where they're implementing it. So we'll talk about that. So those are the stories we'll be going over tonight. And Brian is in here. Hey, Brian, glad you're here as always, brother. Very happy you're here. So let me stop screen. And let's see. Okay, Brian's the only other one besides Elna that's popped in, or at least that said anything in the comments. So I will let you know if Ted, or by some miracle, Will comes in. Meanwhile, we'll go back and we'll start our first story. So everything you want to know about the Galaxy S23 FE. Go look at Phone Arena. Leaker lists almost all Galaxy S23 FE specs and reaffirms release month, which is also still rumor, really. And that's by Alexander Anastasov. Stasov. Okay. I try to pronounce people's names properly when I can. I can't always get it done. All right, so let's put this in read view, get rid of some of these ads. And this was from 2 days ago. Talk of Samsung's Fan Edition devices has spiked in the past week or so, with rumors about the company working on two new Galaxy Tab FE models, also two FE models, as well as phones, as well as a couple of firsts for the FE series, the first Galaxy Z FE foldable phone, and even Galaxy Buds FE. So a lot, but I think this mainly concentrates on the phone. However, as many of you probably already know, the FE series started with Samsung's Galaxy phones. The Galaxy S20 FE that came out in 2020 was a massive success, that's true, and truly lived up to its Fan Edition name, as many Samsung fans thoroughly enjoyed the balance Samsung struck between price and performance features. Yeah, and that's the point of the FE, the Fan Edition series, to come up with a little cheaper. They may take away some performance features, but the price will be better. So that's why people love it. And that first one, they really got it right. And then they said the Galaxy S21 FE was not as universally liked by fans, but still widely received good reviews, including from us. Now the tech giant is expected to finally release a new generation, calling it the Galaxy S23 FE, skipping the S22 FE altogether for consistency purposes, most likely, which by all intentions and purposes should be announced sometime this upcoming September. So that's still rumor. Nobody's positive about that. We already knew a thing or two about the Galaxy S23 FE, but now one of the more reputable leakers on X, Twitter, Yokesh Brar, has shared a list of the phone's specs, reaffirming some previous information and introduced some that are new. So specs, according to Brar, the Galaxy S23 FE will come with a 6.4-inch dynamic AMOLED display with FHD Plus resolution and a screen refresh rate of 120 Hz. No surprises here, really, given it is Samsung, we are talking about the king of mobile tech displays. Embedded under that beautiful display will be a 10 megapixel selfie camera, which is expected to be the same as that of the S22 and S22 Plus from last year. That's good. I had the S22 Plus for a year and I loved it. As for the cameras on the back of the S23 FE, the list mentions the same 50 megapixel main shooter that was already rumored prior, thought to be borrowed straight from the regular Galaxy S23. That's good. And Ted is here, at least I think. Are you here?
Yay, good
We
evening, folk.
don't see him yet, but I'll give him till the end of this article to get himself straight. So I'm going to continue. We're talking about the Galaxy S23 FE. Now, here is where things start to contradict what we have previously heard about the S23 FE. The telephoto camera is said to be the one with 12 megapixel, whereas it was previously thought that the 8 megapixel snapper would be the tele one, presumably inherited from the Galaxy S21 FE. If Brauer's list is not misleading us, then that should mean the 8 megapixel camera mentioned in it should be the S23 FE's ultra wide one. So it's like a switch there. Moving on to the rest of the specs, Yokesh Brar says we can expect a 4,500 milliamp battery with 25 watt charging, wireless charging support, and an unspecified IP rating. We don't know that. Probably the same IP68 as the S21 FE, at least we hope. Software-wise, the phone will come with the Android 13 based One UI 5.1 and should come with Samsung standard for higher-end models, 4 years of OS updates, and 5 years of security patches, software support. Samsung is going with, and get this, 2 chipset Galaxy S23 FE versions after all. It was previously unclear whether Samsung would go with 2 chipsets for the different regions like they used to do. They didn't do that this year, or just one worldwide. If the leakers' information is true, then it seems Samsung will be going with the former, releasing 2 versions of the S23 FE, one with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 from Qualcomm and another with Samsung's own Exynos 2200. And there's been rumors for months now that when the S24 comes out, they're going to go back to giving us in America the Snapdragon, and in other places going back to the Exynos. So a lot of people are not happy about that, but maybe they've made it better. But anyway, those are the rumors. And Brian, thank you as always, sir. You're very, very faithful. All right, let me get rid of this. Let me stop screen. Ted, and of course, Ted's not here anymore. He just disappeared on us. Okay. So as I concentrate on what I'm reading, because I didn't even know he had gone. So Brian said, foldable fundraiser. Well, all I have is my Motorola Razr Plus, which the 2 phones I took to work today was my Motorola Razr Plus, which had my main SIM. And then I just happened to take 2 Motorola phones. I took my Motorola Edge Plus from 2022. So that was my secondary SIM today. So, and I still think this is the most beautiful phone I've ever had. Not the best, it's a very good one, that's for sure. But my S23 Ultra is still the best I've ever had. But I didn't carry that one today. So as soon as Ted pops back in, I'm assuming he'll pop back in. Keep in mind, he moved, 2 weeks ago? So he may still be dealing with moving stuff. But as soon as he pops back in, I'll let you guys know. Meanwhile, let's go on to the next story. Let me get rid of this. Okay. Back to sharing screen. And we'll come on down. see what Mr. Musk is up to this week. It's always something with Elon. You got to give him that. X, Twitter, no more blocking. Users not happy. This story was on 9 to 5 Mac. So I will give you that. Elon Musk says Twitter will no longer let you block other people. This is from about a week ago, but I hadn't brought the story up yet, so I thought it was good to bring it up just to let you guys know who hadn't heard about it. This was by Chance Miller. So let's put this in reader view, get rid of some of these ads. Okay. In another possibly short-sighted decision, Elon Musk says Twitter will soon remove the ability to block people. I think that's a really bad idea. I think a lot of people do. With the exception of direct messages, so you'll still be able to block those. In a post on Twitter today, Musk said that the block feature makes no sense and instead recommended people use the mute option. I disagree with him on this one. Apple's App Store guidelines, however, could prevent this from actually happening. Now, there you are. Well, there he was. I saw his face for a second, folks. I'm not kidding. You might think it's my imagination. He disappeared so fast. Anyway, I will continue. So Apple's App Store guidelines might stop this thing. Musk's comment came in response to a question about whether or not there's ever a reason to block someone rather than mute them. Block is going to be removed as a feature except for DMs, he said. It makes no sense. In typical Musk fashion, the move was announced without any specific details. Well, he was just answering a question, so I don't know that I call that an announcement. He didn't elaborate any further on this decision, and there's no timeline on when exactly Twitter will implement this change. It's also possible Musk never speaks of this idea again, and the change is never implemented. Yeah, that would be somewhat consistent with Elon. The decision to remove the ability for users to block one another is already facing pushback from Twitter users. I don't blame them. The blocking functionality has been viewed as an essential way to cut down on the amount of abuse on Twitter. I agree. On Twitter. In comparison to muting someone, blocking someone prevents that person from viewing anything on your profile and therefore stops them from engaging or harassing you. I agree 100%. In the past, Musk has been a huge fan of the block button. Now get this, here's some inconsistency here. Musk has been a huge fan of the block button on Twitter and blocked a wide array of accounts. In February, however, Musk said he unblocked everyone he had previously blocked and recommended that others do the same. Negative feedback is a good thing, he wrote. Now we get some contradiction. A few months later, Musk blocked the 9 to 5 Mac account, their account. On Twitter, he's also blocked and unblocked our friends over at Electric multiple times. He eventually unblocked the 9 to 5 Mac account as well. So he doesn't seem to be able to make up his mind. App Store guidelines have entered the chat. According to Apple's App Store guidelines, however, Twitter might get removed from the App Store if it removes the ability for users to block people. And I think that's a good thing. The App Store rules say that apps with user-generated content must offer a method for filtering objectionable material from being posted, a mechanism to report offensive content and timely responses to concerns. The highlight is it's the ability to block abusive users from the service and publish contact information so users can easily reach you. So if you want to stay on Apple, you have in the App Store, you have to abide by those rules. And he's saying, my guess is Musk isn't familiar with that rule. I would probably think so. But he very well might mess around and find out about it the hard way. That's true. What do you think of Twitter's decision to get rid of the block feature? I think it's nuts. Will it lead to an increase in the amount of abuse and harassment on the platform? Undoubtedly, in my opinion. So, anyway, It's something that Musk has said, but he hasn't implemented. And I'm thinking if he checks with Apple's rules, he's probably not going to implement it.
I said, do it. Do it.
Why?
People are too
give us-
soft these days. Pussies.
Give us
A lot
a
of them.
reason to keep it. I mean, not to keep it.
Not to. You mean
Give us a
remove the
reason to
block button?
block people. I mean, not to stop blocking people. Sorry. Do you have a good reason?
Because you don't need it. Because you could just you could mute. You could just use the. Sorry,
Yeah, you can mute them, but they can still see the stuff you post, and you don't want people you block to see your post. You're just giving them more reason, more chance to harass you.
Is
Oh,
this
wait a minute.
is there a lag on my thing?
No, not that I can tell.
Okay.
Renz is in here. Yo, Renz, glad you're here, brother. I know you're busy. Anytime you get a chance to say hello, I'm very grateful.
It's like
Brian
a
says hello.
0.25 lag on.
Mullen 77's in here. Hey, brother, glad you're here. And
There's like a
and Twitter wants to copy
0.15
WeChat. Well,
second,
yeah, everybody knows that Musk wants to copy WeChat. That's for sure. And Devon says, "Who cares about Apple?" I think a lot of people do, especially in the United States.
I think there is a 1.5 per second lag. Like, I blink my eyes and I see it like blink on the feed on the stream. But if you're seeing real time, then that's fine. Then
Well, there's always a lag between YouTube and StreamYard. I can tell you that.
but to answer the question, like, you can get by pretty far with the mute feature.
You can get by, but I think you're still leaving yourself open to harassment, which is what the article said. You're going to get less harassment if you just block people entirely.
As someone who's gotten blocked all the time, though, it's not like, it's been pussies who do the blocking and,
Why
just remove the one feature,
people
like just to
blocking
let
you
them know
all the
how
time?
weak they are. It would be great. What?
Give me the reason why people are blocking you all the time.
No, before I deleted Twitter, what was the most recent one?
Okay.
Oh, all right. This woman, I don't know. She made like a sponsored ad or sponsored content for Uber,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, don't like Uber, but I'm happy to see you get paid.
Okay.
Block.
You got blocked just for that?
And then before that, this was I don't know who originally shared the photo. I think it was actually the fan, but a fan was basically posing with this with a porn star for a photo.
Okay.
And the fans, like, demeanor was kind of weird. Like, like he kind of didn't want to be there, or like, he was like uber shy, like, he didn't want to be seen in the photo. But so I
wouldn't want to
commented,
be seeing a photo with a porn star either, but that's just
he
me.
must have, but he must have asked,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
he must have asked for the photo, for him to have shared the photo. Yeah, I thought for him to have shared the photo, right?
Yeah.
And and I'm like, so I put in the caption, like tweeted, why are you looking like you don't want to be there? I thought you wanted this. And the porn star blocked me.
Really?
It was his tweet. But
Really?
she
That's
blocked
interesting.
me.
I mean, what you said, I would think, didn't even affect her at all. That's weird.
And the third one, what was the third one? Oh, third one was a journalist.
Okay.
This was about the whole Mr. Beast thing when he did the whole Squid Games thing.
Yeah.
And like she put out a hit piece on her thoughts. I've brashly really much said that, I thought, she had a good part in the beginning of her article, but, instead of expanding on the part that I thought was good, that she instead just decided to be like a tool for, mainstream media.
Oh, you said that in it?
And the tweet, yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah, verbatim. Like, I didn't use any colorful language.
I can see where that might get you blocked because people are so thin-skinned nowadays.
But yeah, that got me blocked. But, like I said, those things, like, it's not stuff that is against the TOS of a service.
Yeah, no, the other two things were ridiculous, I thought.
It's not things that you can say it's harassing because it's only in the one offensive tweet.
Exactly.
Like I said,
and it wasn't even offensive.
But I mean, it's offensive is subjective. But the thing is, that I would say, if it's for a harassing matter, yeah, I could see a block button. But really, if someone's harassing you, it's against, a terms of service. So,
Yeah, I
they should
agree.
be kicked off the service. Forget about a block.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. You don't need it. Like if someone's blocked, this, against the terms
moment-
of service, you can
with-
get kicked them off the platform entirely. Just that the block.
With the porn star, Damone said you're just jealous it wasn't you.
Who was the
I'm-
porn
I'm-
star?
I'm glad I don't know any porn stars.
I think
I'm very glad I don't know any porn stars.
I don't know her first name. The first letter of her name starts with an M, and the last name is Myers, Myers.
That's my landlord's name. The exact same last name, spelt exactly the same way. Hopefully, they're not related because my landlord's whole family is very, very born again. So I doubt if they know any porn stars either.
They usually change their names, their stage names, though. It's all a stage name with the porn stars.
Why would you use Myers for a stage? That sounds, I don't know.
As Myers is that it's a very regular name. Although sometimes, I don't know, like these when they go mainstream though, I wonder, like, there's Mia Khalifa. I thought that was a stage name, but she's still going on by that name, so maybe it was her real name.
Is that a porn star too?
Ex-porn star.
As you can tell, I don't know any. I never have known anything.
There's also Sasha Grey. That was obviously a stage name. But yeah, she goes by that name still.
Another
commonly.
one. You know an awful lot of porn stars.
He's on mainstream.
Hey, maybe DeMolin's right.
How many more stars do I know? I know Sasha Grey,
Now he's gonna.
ex-porn star, Mia Khalifa, ex-porn star.
We don't need a summation of the porn stars you can remember. Thank you very much.
Angelica something.
Angelica something. Okay. At least you're forgetting them. That's a good thing, I think.
Oh, Tiana Trump. You got to know Tiana Trump.
No, I don't.
You don't know Tiana Trump?
No, why would I? I don't know any. I guarantee you there's not a porn star on this planet whose name I know. I guarantee it.
If you're on
Is that-
Twitter, you should know at least one
I've
porn
never-
star name. I mean, come on.
I'm on Twitter for tech. I'm not on Twitter for porn. Why would I know anybody who does that? Why would I ever want to know anybody who does that?
All right, fine. How about this, George? Name me one Kardashian.
I'm trying to think of her first name, and I can't think of it. I can't remember any of the Kardashians' first names. I don't care. I've never watched 1 second of any of their shows.
But the fact that you could name one Kardashian,
I should be able
if
to
your
name
life
one, yes.
depended on it, you see, it's pretty much the same with the porn star.
Well,
when
was
one
she a
posts them
porn
on Twitter.
star? Was she a porn star?
Who? Well, no Kardashian is a porn star.
Well, yeah, you're. I said I would not know any porn star on earth. I've never.
Yeah,
had
but
a-
you don't watch reality TV, right? But yet somehow
I
you
used
know.
to watch American Chopper for years, which is one of the original reality TVs.
American Chopper.
Yeah, the motorcycle show. You never heard of it?
I was thinking about helicopters. No,
Well, American Chopper was maybe the third or fourth reality show ever on television, and it was on about 5 years, and it was about mainly a father and one son that built specialty motorcycles, and really nice ones too. Charged way too much. I met Eleanor and I met them in down in Daytona at one of the Bike Week rallies, but the show got too realistic. Turns out father and son really started hating each other. And I mean, really started hating each other. They finally took the show off the air after about 5 years, but they sued each other multiple times, trying to take money from each other, all kinds of stuff. So that reality show was very much reality. And in the end, it got too much reality.
It's a horrible ending to a reality show.
When one of the girls from Orlando, from the Orlando Club, and I both rode up to New York from Orlando, because nobody else in our club was crazy enough to do that kind of ride. I stayed with my cousin in Peekskill. She stayed with her brother 30 miles away. The day we left to go back to Orlando, she said, we're close to where American Chopper has their building. And I saw that. So we rode over there. It was only about a 10-minute ride. And we caught the sun just as he came back from lunch. So I got a picture with him. So it was interesting.
Well, the parallel I was trying to draw is, even though, you're there on Twitter for tech, eventually a porn star name would come across the feed.
Let's put it this way. If a porn star's name has ever come across any feed, how would I know it? I don't know any porn stars. I have never in my life known a porn star. And I don't think I ever will know a porn star. And I'm sure I'll never want to. So,
well, back to the meeting. Okay. Yes, I'm actually for Twitter, blocking, getting rid of the block feature,
I disagree with it. I still think you're leaving yourself open to more harassment with just muting than blocking. So I think blocking.
I mean, if it's harassing, they can get kicked off the platform entirely.
Yeah, that's true. But if somebody's harassing you, they can do some pretty bad damage by the time they get kicked off to you as a person. I mean, that's my guess. Here's Don. What's Don saying? Don is saying, "Way to speak truth." The power. Okay, talking about the porn star stuff, I guess. Don is also a born again Christian. So Ted been watching too much porn, so now his computer is lagging. Good one, very good, very good. That's why he's got the hesitation, and I don't. I love it. Hey, these guys are sharp here tonight. Okay. We're going on to the next story. The next story is the right to repair story. You going to take that?
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right, let me get it up here. Okay. Now let's see. Oh. So I said Apple supporting California right to repair. Believe it when you see it. And this is on Tech Radar. All right, got it up. Let's see if I can get it to review to get rid of the ads. Come on. Sometimes review takes a second to kick in. I don't know why.
All right, so
once more.
I'm bringing this mic a little bit. A watershed moment.
Well, you can start reading it.
I feel like I have to turn on my mic sometimes. Do I need to turn on my mic?
No, you sound good.
All right. A watershed moment for consumer right. Apple takes major step towards making iPhone repairs. Yay, cheaper.
Yep.
Apple has long been criticized for its closed-loop approach to product repairs, but the company's latest political move could soon make it much easier and cheaper to fix broken iPhones or MacBooks away from official Apple stores. In the U.S., the right to repair bill was created with the intention of forcing tech companies to provide consumers with the tools necessary to repair expensive tech products with ease. The state of California, where Apple is based, has endorsed this bill back in 2018, but Apple and other manufacturers for years have resisted its progress. Now, though, in a surprising U-turn, Apple has decided to express its support for the right to repair bill in California, which could soon open up a much more competitive Apple repair market and ultimately make iPhone and MacBook repairs cheaper for consumers. According to iFixit CEO Kyle Wiens, Apple's change of heart represents a watershed moment for consumer rights, with other tech companies expected to follow the iPhone maker's example in due course. It feels like the Berlin Wall of tech repair monopolies is starting to crumble brick by brick. Once the bill is enacted in California, at least, the right to repair bill will act to require manufacturers of products that cost over $100 to make parts, tools, and repair diagnostics readily available for 7 years after the point of production. In other words, the bill will ensure that consumers aren't left high and dry once an expensive tech product reaches the end of its warranty period. In the current climate, iPhone parts and therefore repairs are expensive. In fairness to Apple, the company already provides much better long-term support for its products than many other tech companies out there. That is true.
That's very true.
iPhones, for instance, are typically supported by Apple for up to 5 years after they've been officially discontinued, and the company launched its own self-service repair program back in 2021. However, the right to repair bill aims to give consumers even more freedom to carry out potentially expensive tech repairs themselves or take their broken products to third-party repair providers like iFixit. The logic is simple. If Apple parts become more readily available from stores other than Apple's own, the price of these parts will decrease. We're not yet certain how Apple's latest political U-turn could affect customers in regions like the UK or Australia, but with the EU making similar moves in Europe, it's only a matter of time before iPhone repairs become cheaper all over the world.
I think it's a good thing. And the California law, as far as I remember, was written pretty well. I did see Louis Rossman made a video about this, I guess the day before I saw the story, but I didn't get a chance to watch the video. But he seems to be taking the believe it when I see it attitude too. So, and it makes sense that he would, because I think his whole channel started with him arguing about, repairs for Apple, because this is what he does for a living. So he's got 6 or 8 people that work for him, I believe.
Yeah.
So when he moved to Texas from New York, I'm guessing he must have moved his people with him. So
no,
I'm thinking he probably. I've heard him talk about some of the benefits he gives the people that work for him, and he sounds like a pretty good boss, if you ask me.
I'm thinking he hired people in Austin.
I don't think so. I'm thinking he brought people. Maybe he could have done both, of course.
But all 6 people wanted to move.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's what I don't know. I'm just thinking, I had never even thought about it before, but based on what I know of his employer practices, it wouldn't surprise me. Let's put it that way. If
that is saying that everyone moved with him. Wow.
Yeah, that would be something. And like I said, I think he must be a pretty terrific boss. Then keep in mind, you see how dedicated he is to repairs and honesty and all that for all these years. He could have people working for him that feel the same way. So maybe they'd want to go too. And let's face it, New York City has become too freaking expensive to live in anyway, and dangerous. So
for him, he complains about the red tape it was to stay there.
Yeah, and they keep raising the prices of everything. But New York is doing the same thing that they're doing in California, because people keep moving out. And since they can't make people stay, they want to raise taxes. California is trying to pass a law that if you move out of California, you will have to pay them taxes for the next 10 years. They're trying to make that stick. I don't think they can make it stick, but that's what they're trying to do, because they're losing too much money from people moving out. So very strange. Anyway, I thought it was very strange. Let's see what else we got in the comments. Damone said your mic is good. I guess at the same time I did. He said, thanks to Louis Rossman for the right to I agree. He makes the best videos about it and is the most honest about it anybody I've ever heard. Oh, and Damone said, yes, everybody moved with him. See, that was just a guess on my part. But he strikes me as that kind of boss, who's that responsible to his people, and probably the kind of boss that people want to move with him. And like I said, New York's become very, very, very expensive. I started working in New York getting close to 40 years now, but when I worked there every day, it wasn't like it is now. Let's see what else he said. He said, yes, because he pays them very well. That move was worth it. So he made the move worth it for them. He says they make like $60 an hour. Boy, you know a lot about him. Thanks.
That is good money.
See, my subscribers know what they're talking about. And here's Mike's wife, Pat's in here. I bet you she's riding around with Mike. Hi, how's everything with you guys tonight? Mike said he's looking forward to next Friday. Yeah, I know he's all excited about it. Now remember, Ted, Mike is doing next week's show. So it'll be on your device. Yeah. So since you're in here, Pat, I'm guessing you're riding around with Mike on the DoorDash stuff. Anyway, very, very glad you popped in. And I'm sure everybody's excited. Once I told them that Mike, I knew she'd be with him. Mike and I are out dashing tonight. Mike loves it when she goes with him. So I guess they have a good time together.
That's nice of you. I could
think
never.
that's great. I think that's great. Well, he's made. Hey, I think that's how he got her. What he got her to Fold 3. I think that's how he got it with the DoorDash money.
Terrible.
Anyway, so he'll be here next week. Don't forget next. I told everybody at the beginning, and I'll tell them.
Woman like that deserves a Fold 4.
No, that's probably true. That is probably true. And of course, if I were Mike, I would say, okay, Ted, send her a Fold 4. That's what I would say. Okay, we're going on to the next story.
Ain't here.
No, I told Eleanor what you had said about. She said, "Have fun in New Orleans." That's right. You'll be in New Orleans next week. I forgot about that. Or should I say, Nolans? I think that's how they like it said.
I'm gonna say New Orleans.
Yeah,
the worst way.
I can honestly say that when I worked at AT&T in Orlando, one of the guys that I work with, somehow he got married, and we got invited to the reception, and he was originally from New Orleans. Well, he had a bunch of his friends and relatives come from New Orleans, and I had never met, maybe 20, 30 people from New Orleans. Well, I found out one thing, that reputation they have for hard drinking, boy, that was true. I'll tell you that. These people could put it away and hold it down, too. And they were fun to be around, I have to say. This was back in, 97, 98. This is a while ago. LPN 201 says, us Southerners say Nolans, yeah. So I was right, Nolans. See, I'm not very good at pronouncing what I consider bad English, so I probably wouldn't do well there. I'm pretty much a stickler for proper pronunciation. Okay, we're going back to present, and glad you guys are all here. So just a reminder again, folks, next week, Mike on Simply Your Device, not on Mobile Geezer. I'll tell you again at the end. All right, I'm going back to sharing screen. I'm going to bring up the show notes again, and I will read the next story. It's my turn, right?
Yeah, yep.
Just wanted to make sure the old guy forgets. All right. Will foldables catch on worldwide as they have in South Korea? This is our longest story of the night. Pretty well written, though. So this was on CNET. Come on. Take your time, I think. Okay, this is by, let's see if I can get this right. Italian names I usually get right. Lisa Idicico. Lisa Idicico. And the reason I put the H in there in Italian names, if there's a vowel after the C, you put an H sound there. Most people don't know that unless they've been around a whole lot of Italians like I have. So this was written yesterday. This is a pretty good article. So let me get this in reader view. Okay. And here she is with her pink hair, I guess. Smartphone makers are betting foldables are the next big thing. But in Seoul, Samsung's home turf, they're already here and now. So I guess when she went for the event, she was surprised at how many, but she'll explain that to us. Lisa Idicico is a senior editor for CNET covering mobile devices. She has been right. Oh, I don't need that part. Okay, as I sit in a quaint Japanese-style pub in Seoul, well, that's where it actually starts. In Seoul's ritzy Gangnam district, I said it right, a member of the wait staff excitedly walks over to my table. He spotted the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 5 I'd brought with me, sitting alongside plates of meat skewers and cups of sake, and is eager to get a closer look. I love sake. Like many people I met in Seoul last month, Dong Hwan Hyu, well, I said that right, is a fan of foldable phones. Such devices are seemingly everywhere in the capital city of Samsung's home country, as many Koreans that my colleague Amy Kim and I spoke with have adopted them in the last 6 months to a year. Yu was enamored with Samsung's flip phone from the very start, having purchased the first model more than 3 years ago because it's easy to carry around, he tells me through Google Translate. Yes, that's the thing about these things. These things are easy to carry in a little pocket. It's small and convenient to bring anywhere. I agree. Use appreciation sums up the impression that Samsung and other major phone makers are hoping foldables will have. While smartphones have gotten faster, thinner, larger screen, and smarter over the last 15 years, their overall shape, that solid black slab, has largely remained the same. Samsung was one of the first companies to attempt changing that nearly a half decade ago, and now in 2023, other phone makers like Google and OnePlus are following suit. That shift is a sign that major tech companies view the smartphone as in need of a shakeup. Seoul seems to be embracing it wholeheartedly with Z Flips, Z Folds visible on a daily basis. The emergence of foldable phones doesn't mean traditional smartphones are disappearing. But my studying of market research data and my conversations with both analysts and foldable phone owners suggest they could become the new norm for high-end Android phones. And I think that's the point she's making. That's a nice shot. That's a really good shot. As I wander around Seoul, a city of more than 9 million people, I've never been to a city that big, where Samsung's influence is broadly reflected in the consumer tech market, from flip phones to refrigerators, I felt like I was getting a glimpse into that future. I also attended Samsung's product launch of its newest foldable in Seoul, visited its headquarters. Now, here's where I start messing up names. Visited its headquarters in Suwon and toured its mobile device factory in Gumi, all of which impressed on me that Samsung is shining a bigger light on its foldables than ever before. Perhaps even more so than on its popular Galaxy S phones, a product lineup that made Samsung one of two companies that rules the global smartphone market. That's true. Many flip and fold owners Amy and I spoke with both praised and criticized their foldable devices, illustrating both the promise and risk that comes with adopting new technology. That's also true. My takeaway is that Samsung and its rivals are onto something, but they also have plenty of work cut out for them before foldable phones become the new standard for premium phones around the world. Yeah, but they're getting there. You'll see that later. The rise of foldables is on full display. Pardon me. Regular smartphones like iPhones and non-folding Samsung Galaxy phones are still the most prominent types of devices you'll find in Seoul. That's true around the world. Foldables represented only 1.2% of global smartphone shipments in 2022, according to market research firm International Data Corporation. Still, I couldn't help but notice foldables almost everywhere I went during my trip to South Korea for the unveiling of Samsung's Galaxy Z Flip 5 and its larger compatriot, the Z Fold 5. Young women riding the Seoul Metro were buried in their Z Flips during their commute. I spotted a businessman in a suit carrying a Galaxy Z Fold near the World Trade Center, Seoul. A girl sitting next to me at the sandwich chain Egg Drop scrolled and swiped on her flip all throughout the meal. A woman snapping a photo of her daughter in the base of North Seoul Tower was doing so on her Z Flip. By contrast, when I'm out and about in New York City where I live and work, I see iPhones, non-foldable Samsung phones, and Google Pixels. That's probably true. And it's not just my observation. South Korea was the fourth largest market for foldable phones in 2022, according to Counterpoint Research, ranking after significantly larger regions like China, North America, and Europe. In 2021, South Korea placed second only behind Europe. The Zeolites that Amy and I spoke with were mostly drawn to foldables for one reason: design. Whether it's because they find the Z Flip attractive or easy to put in their pocket, Samsung's flip phone stood out for its unconventional shape. Yeah, that's the one that always sells. Definitely 100% design. 26-year-old Moonju Lee says when asked why she bought the Z Flip as we sipped soju, I don't know soju, in a
It's
restaurant.
alcohol.
I would assume so, but yeah.
Soju is like the Korean version of sake, I think, or maybe it's
Oh,
beer.
then I probably like it. Okay, thanks. In a restaurant in the famous Guangjiang Market. Wow, I said that right too. I'm amazing myself. Where diners flock to bustling food stalls to sample staple dishes like this. I'm not even going to try. You want to try it?
Uh,
Tekbokki? I'll say tekbokki. Anyway, it's chewy cylindrical rice cakes cooked in sauce. I probably wouldn't like that. And mung bean pancakes. I don't know what mung beans are. Okay. Jin Soon Lee, a 31-year-old freelancer who's been using the Galaxy Flip for a year, said she likes the device because it's pretty and can be easily decorated with accessories. Okay. I can design it in whatever way I choose, she says, while holding up a phone which was speckled with stickers. Okay, that's cool. Flip and fold. Having a phone that can fold to fit in your pocket or expand to show slide decks on a bigger screen represents a shift in how we use our phones. While traditional smartphones are static, foldables can change their shape and screen size to adapt to the situation. The Z Flip 5, for instance, is about 3.4 inches long when closed, with a 3.4-inch screen showing your calendar, the weather, and other snippets of information in the palm of your hand. And I can tell you that's a 3.4. This is a 3.6, so it's kind of very much the same. So you can get a lot of information on there. It opens up to roughly 6.5 inches long with a 6.7-inch screen. The hinge opens it vertically like an old school clamshell style flip phone. Phones like the Galaxy Z Fold and the newly introduced Google Pixel Fold, meanwhile, open like a book and have a tablet-sized interior screen that may be ideal for watching movies or playing games. But if you just want to send a quick text message, you can fold that screen in half and just use the more moderately sized cover display. And for everything I've seen online, people like the Pixel Fold cover display way better than the Fold 5. Jung-Suk Kim, an IT project manager. Now get this, from here on, you're going to be hearing Z Folds. So I'm thinking these people don't replace it every year. Likes the Z Fold 3's big screen for using PowerPoint while messaging colleagues, as well as for reading books and watching animation. That makes sense. It's the main reason why I chose Galaxy Z Fold 3, he says. It's perfectly suitable for work. The Z Flip and other new flip phones like the Motorola Razr Plus, that's the one I've been showing you here, and Oppo Find N2 Flip let you fold a regular size phone in half so that it can more easily fit into a pocket or purse. And when you need to read a news article or check your email, you can simply unfold it to use the full-size screen. That's why 33-year-old clinical laboratory technologist Sangbum Seo was drawn to the Z Flip. He likes Samsung's flip phone because of its compact build that easily fits in the pocket, a key attribute for those who don't carry handbags. Clamshell phones like the Z Flip are already shaping up to be the most popular foldable phone style, have been for, I think, 2 years now. Data from IDC provided to CNET indicates flip phones accounted for about 58% of the foldable phone market in 2022. Yeah, they took off last year. Samsung has been observing how these changes impact the way users engage with their phones. TM Rowe, president and head of Samsung's mobile experience business, said in an interview through a translator last year that people tend to spend more time on foldable phones compared with regular bar type phone. Now that if I find interesting.
Really?
Yeah, I think he repeats this again too. Both fold and flip are characterized by long usage time for different reasons. That's very interesting. He said last August, fold is used for longer durations because it's really focused on productivity and entertainment. And flip is used by a lot of young people so they consume a lot of time on their phone. So it's interesting that both form factors get people to use the phone more than their normal slabs. The emergence of foldables is just the latest transformation of the mobile phone. Look through history and you'll find countless examples of how phones have evolved over time as people craved access to communication and the internet on the go. Phones transitioned from the gigantic brick-shaped Motorola Dynatec 8000X in the early 1980s to the more portable, iconic candy bar-shaped Nokia 3210 in 1999, and to camera-equipped flip phones like the LG VX6000 in 2003. The original Razr from 2004, with its sharp standout appearance, made flip phones cool and trendy. That's true. Everybody loved that Razr back then. BlackBerry and Nokia phones ruled the cell phone world before the smartphone era. That's true. Nokia was known for its bold designs, while the keyboards and messaging features available on BlackBerry phones made them stand out. Would you believe I have never had a BlackBerry phone, Ted?
Wow.
A lot of people find that very surprising. Aside from the business use, that's really what pivoted BlackBerry's growth in the consumer space, said Nabila Popal, a research director at IDC. With its multi-touch screen and introduction of the App Store, which came later in 2008, the iPhone is credited with laying the foundation for today's smartphones. Yeah. But that foundation has largely remained the same ever since, with phone makers building on top of it with larger screens, faster processors, new sensors, and more sophisticated cameras. Before foldables arrived, the most dramatic shift we saw in the smartphone design was the proliferation of larger screens. That's very true. Like foldable smartphones with big screens used to be a niche and were available only on devices geared towards early adopters, like the original Samsung Galaxy Note. I remember everybody was complaining about the size of that Note when it came out for about 2 years. But as the app economy boomed and people began relying on their phones for nearly everything, from banking to calling cabs, watching movies, and snapping photos, people embraced larger displays. Now, just about every phone on the market has a screen that's 6 inches or larger. Yeah, I remember everybody thought that was way too big, making the 2011 era Galaxy Note's 5.3-inch display seem minuscule. That's very true. And perhaps unsurprisingly, South Korea was one of the first markets to adopt this shift too. And I think in general, over in Asia, they started adopting large phones much quicker than any place else. When data research from Flurry Analytics sampled 97,963 iOS and Android devices worldwide back in 2013, only 7% of those devices were so-called phablets. There's a word you don't hear anymore. Portmanteau of phone and tablet that was previously used to describe phones with big screens. Remember, you used to hear phablets all the time for like 3 years or so. Then they became normal. The Note made them normal. But for South Korea, that number was 41%. So 7% for everybody else, but South Korea had already adopted 41%. That same report says the market for connected devices in South Korea grew more rapidly than the worldwide market in late 2011 and early 2012. Growth in South Korea slowed after that, but Flurry Analytics interpreted that as an indication that the country was the first to reach mobile saturation. I would agree. As such, it provides a good early indicator of what other markets can expect once the rapid growth period in the mobile market has experienced in the past few years ends. Mary Ellen Gordon wrote in Flurry's report back then. So they're saying South Korea sets the trend and shows you what's coming in the rest of the world. Samsung's home turf advantage. Based on my observations in Seoul, it's tempting to think history may be repeating itself. Just as South Koreans were the first to adopt big screen phones before they became the norm, perhaps a similar pattern is happening with foldables. But there are a few important caveats to consider. Samsung holds an outsized presence in South Korea, that's for sure, especially in the smartphone market, which plays a major role in the country's early adoption of foldable phones and likely phablets before that. Yeah, look at how dominant they are. Samsung employs 120,000 people in South Korea and accounts for around 20% of the country's gross domestic product. That's a whole lot, according to reports from the Korea Times and Nikkei, making it highly influential in the Korean market, you think? Its campuses span the country from its design center in Seoul to its headquarters in Suwon, located roughly an hour outside the city, all the way down to its home applications factory in Gwangju, I guess. Samsung also has a mobile device factory in Gumi and semiconductor operations in Gihyun. Hwasong, I can't pronounce this, and Ouyang. Okay, so they have semiconductor factories in 4 different cities. Okay. Visiting Samsung campuses in Suwon and Gumi gave me a sense of its monumental presence. Its campuses feel like miniature cities of their own. And yeah, working at Blue Cross here in Chattanooga, I felt like we were like our own little city. I'll bet you Samsung's way bigger than that. With the Suwon headquarters, including everything from a convenience store to fitness center on campus for employees. Perhaps it's fitting for a company with its name on everything from an insurance company. Yeah, they're one of the biggest insurance companies in the world. To an amusement park. That's right, I forgot they had their own amusement park. An indication of just how deeply the company is woven into the fabric of South Korean society. It's Samsung's home market, so the marketing is very strong there. IDC's Popal said that makes sense. But consumers in regions like South Korea also tend to be more interested in design than those in other parts of the world. I can see that. It's a very innovative market, said Brad Akias, executive director at market research from Circana. We know that the adoption rates for the new innovation tend to be higher in markets like South Korea or Japan. Popal said consumers in areas such as the United Arab Emirates, China, and Korea typically want the latest and greatest device, noting that branding is very important in markets like those compared with the U.S. Yeah, well, these are very rich places, especially United Arab Emirates. Foldable sedan, where they're going. Never was this point more obvious than at Samsung's Unpacked event in Seoul on July 26. The presentation took place at the COEX Convention Center in Gangnam, a sprawling complex attached to a shopping mall, a movie theater, an aquarium, and a hotel, all belonging to Samsung, I'm sure. Located across the street from Bongnusia, that's a tough one for me, Temple, a scene that encapsulates the blend of modern and traditional cultural landmarks that Seoul is known for. So I guess they mix their new and old landmarks. While most Samsung keynotes take place in an auditorium or theater, this venue felt less formal but much more flashy. Surrounded by wall-length screens bearing Samsung advertisements, journalists, analysts, and most importantly, celebrities. Yeah, I gather had celebrities big time there. Sat on minimalist stools that formed a circle around the tiny center stage. And she's going to make a point of how different it was from New York. Euphoria and the White Lotus star Sydney Sweeney, don't know who that is, was in attendance, as was Suga of Korean pop sensation BTS. I think I've heard of BTS. It's been covering Samsung product launches for a decade, and this was the first time I've seen legions of fans gathering outside the auditorium door in hopes of a celebrity sighting. Okay, so that's much like who would be here too. It was a stark contrast to the Galaxy S23 San Francisco launch in February, where the surprise guests were executives in Qualcomm from Google and Qualcomm who joined Samsung's role on stage to announce a new tech partnership. Yeah, I don't think they have so many stars in our unveilings here. The message was clear. Samsung wants the world paying attention to its foldables. That may be because it's facing more competition than ever, that's for sure. Motorola, a fellow early entrant to the foldables market, released a new version of its Razr flip phone called the Razr Plus, which I've shown you a bunch of times already, in June to much critical acclaim. I love this phone. Xiaomi, a popular Chinese smartphone company, also announced a new book-style foldable phone called the Mix Fold 3 just days after Samsung's Z Flip 5 and Z Fold 5 went on sale. While Chinese tech giants like Huawei and Oppo have been making foldable phones for years, Google and OnePlus are just now entering the fray. Apple is also rumored to be working on a foldable phone that could arrive in 2025, according to TF International securities analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, who is known for his Apple product predictions. Yeah, he's like never wrong either. Brian Rakowski, vice president of product management at Google, said the company waited until 2023 to launch its first bendable phone because the technology has matured. So they did what Apple does. They waited for things to get better. It's inherently a more expensive device, Rakowski said in an interview ahead of the Pixel Fold's debut. So we felt like if people were going to buy a top-of-the-line device, we wanted everything to work well. But Oppo is becoming Samsung's biggest threat in this arena, Popal said, primarily thanks to the rapid growth of the foldable market in China. Samsung's share of the global foldable market dropped to 41% in the second quarter of 2023, compared with 80% on average 2022. That's a big drop, according to ID data provided to CNET. So they're really making a dent in China, the other companies. However, the improvements Samsung introduced in the Galaxy Z Flip 5, which was a lot, along with the company's larger global presence, mean the Korean tech giant is likely to gain that share back. Despite the drop, Samsung is still way in the lead, Popal said. For its part, Samsung sees the increased competition as an affirmation that it's on the right track. I would agree. And analysts seem to agree. Predictions from Counterpoint Research and IDC both suggest that foldables are poised to grow. Counterpoint says foldable shipments increased 64% year over year. That's a lot. In the first quarter of 2023, while IDC estimates worldwide shipments could reach 21.4 million units in 2023, an increase of more than 50% compared with 2023. Anyway, I'm not going to go all the way down to the rest. You got the idea. Foldables are starting to become a big deal, and they're expected to be more and more of them. And at the end of the article, they did say they don't expect that foldables will be the only thing out there, but they'll be sharing it with the slabs also. So anyway, I just thought it was a very well written article. Let's see.
Got a super chat from Brian again. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to work my way down again. Brian said, tell Michael hello to Patricia. LPN said, always had the latest BB, still miss them. That's the BlackBerry. BlackBerry was phenomenal. I never missed. Yeah, everybody said that.
I agree. Yeah, I like.
Out in Wildwood, New Jersey, we'll check back for the replay. Oh, okay. Well, I haven't been to Wildwood. Wildwood is a beach town. It's where when we were teenagers. Since I was the very first one with a car, of course, I got to drive to Wildwood like every weekend because everybody wanted to get in my car and go to Wildwood. So that's what we did. This was back in 61, way back there. About a year later, everybody else had a car. But for a while, I was the chauffeur. Thank you, Brian. Very, very kind, as always. And Matt, here's Matt. And Matt is from Nashville, so he's about 2.5 hours from me. Very glad you made it, sir. Okay, and that's all of the comments. We ready for the next story?
Yeah.
Okay, let me get back to sharing. Okay, and we're going to slide on down. And I said, just arrived. Threads has a web version. This is a very short story, so you may want to take the one after it too, but we'll see. This was on Engadget, and I just thought since people were complaining that all they had was a phone version for the first few weeks, it's nice that the version is here. So I just put it up here so people would know it. So whenever you're ready.
The long-awaited version of Threads has finally arrived after others by Carissa Bell. After announcing that its Twitter competitor would be accessible from browsers earlier this week, Meta's rollout is finally underway. Instagram head Adam Mosseri confirmed Thursday the update is now live for all users. That means if you've been impatiently refreshing threads.net waiting for it to be available, you should check again. Up to now, many Thread users have been frustrated by the lack of a web version. Though it was possible to manually navigate to a specific user's profile, people have been unable to browse their feeds, post, or reply, even log into accounts from browsers. As the app has seen a significant drop-off in engagement following its initial launch, many have viewed the lack of a web version as a significant barrier to the app. Both Mark Zuckerberg and Mosseri have been promising a web version was high on the agenda for Threads, though Mosseri recently said the team was working out some bugs with the experience. Now that the web version is finally live, it will be interesting to see which of the many missing features Threads will get next. Users have also complained about the lack of a content search. Right now, people can only search for users, not for specific posts or hashtags, both of which can help people discover new content on Instagram and Twitter. One feature, however, that seems unlikely is the addition of DMs. Mosseri has said that he's reluctant to add another inbox to users' lives, though he recently raised the possibility of incorporating Instagram DMs into the Thread experience. But he did confirm that the post editing features are in the works, so at least Threads users won't have to wait more than a decade for an edit button.
Yeah, exactly. But I think having the Instagram DMs would be a good idea, don't you? Yeah, at least you'd have some kind of direct messaging, which I think is good. Anyway, I just want people to know that I guess it's out there, so you can go look for the web version if you want to. Now, since it was such a short story, do you want to take the next story also, or?
Yeah, I'll take the next story.
Okay, this one was interesting, and look, it's got all the biggies from around the world in this. I just said the tech behemoths must knuckle under to the EU or pay the price, and you'll understand what I mean when you read it. This
Who's
was on
Yandex? Are they so big?
Huh?
Who's Yandex?
They're pretty big. I forgot. I think they're Chinese, I think, but they're pretty big. There was only one company that I don't know, and you'll see that name in here. I'll mention it when you get to it.
EU safety laws start to bite for
big.
TikTok, Instagram, and others by Chris Valance.
Yep.
Some of the biggest tech organizations and search engines now have to comply with new EU rules designed to protect users. Under the EU Digital Service Act, rule breakers can face big fines. 19 major platforms such as Facebook, TikTok face the most stringent rules, which include having plans in place to protect children and stop election interference. Many have made changes, some of which will affect users in the UK. While the UK online safety bill is still working its way through Parliament, the EU DSA became law on the 16th of November 2022. Oh.
Yeah, and the EU, the UK's bill, the British bill, has been there for months now because I had stories on it months ago, and they still haven't finished it. So
the firms were giving time to make sure their systems complied. It's called the compliance period. Okay,
yeah,
which is probably up by now.
Yeah, in the EU it is, but not in the UK.
Oh, because they left.
No, the UK is still working on this, supposedly. And at the end of this article, you'll see that there are companies that are asking, let's use the EU and forget about the UK, which I think they should probably do, but that's just my opinion.
On 25th of April, the Commission named the very large online platforms, those with over 45 million EU users, that would be subject to the toughest rules. They are Alibaba, surprise, AliExpress, Amazon, the Apple App Store, Booking.com,
That surprised me. I didn't know Booking was that big.
Facebook, Google Play, Google Maps. You gotta separate all the Googles. Google Shop,
Yeah.
Google
Well,
Shopping.
I guess over there, those are separate, like little separate companies.
You gotta worry about Google Shopping.
Yep.
Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Snapchat, TikTok, X, Wikipedia. Oh, not even Wikipedia gets a break.
Yeah.
YouTube and Zalando.
Yeah, Zalando's the one I never heard of, but I guess they're big because they're mentioned a few times.
Let me check and see if the chat has heard of Zalando.
Yeah, anybody know who Zalando is? I had never heard of them.
And of course, the search engines like Google and Bing. They were just given 4 months to comply with the Act's rules. Smaller tech services won't have to comply until next year. Breaches could lead to a fine of 6% of turnover.
Yeah, and keep in mind, they're separating the big guys from the smaller guys. So the big guys, they want you on board now. They've given you 4 months. Get on board.
And potentially suspension of the service. There are extra requirements in the DSA for these very large platforms and search engines. They have to assess potential risks they may cause. Yes, something that Apple should have done with those damn AirTags. Illegal content rights such as freedom of expression, media freedom, discrimination, consumer protection, and children's rights, public security and threats to electoral process, gender-based violence, public health, protection of minors, mental and physical well-being. Targeting advertising based on profiling children is no longer permitted.
Good.
They must also share with the regulators detail how their algorithms work. This could include those which decide the adverts users see which appear in their feed, and they are required to have systems for sharing data with independent researchers. Okay.
Now, you see, as you go down, when they say they want shared details of how their algorithms work, as you read on, you'll see they mean that.
In blog posts and in statements given to BBC, organizations have stressed the effort to put into comply. Both TikTok and Meta said more than 1,000 people across their business had worked on complying with the Act.
Good.
Many have already implemented changes. A number focus on personalized advertising and feeds, including starting July, TikTok stopped users in Europe aged 13 to 20 from being shown personal advertising based on their online activity.
Good.
Since February, Meta apps, including Facebook and Instagram, have stopped showing users aged 13 to 17 worldwide advertising based on their activity in the apps. In Europe, Facebook and Instagram gave users the option to view stories in Reels only from people they follow, ranked in chronological order. That's nice. In the UK and Europe, Snapchat is also restricting personalized ads for users aged 13 and 17. It is also creating a library of adverts shown in the EU. There were also commitments to provide more data to researchers. Google promised to increase data access for those hoping to understand more about how Google Search, YouTube, Google Maps, Google Play, and shopping work. Some have not yet detailed the changes they have made when asked to do so by the BBC. X, formerly called Twitter, said it was on track to meet its compliance deadlines. Retailers, that's a hint, Zalando and Amazon.com have mounted legal action to contest their designation as very large. Amazon,
they're not going to win that.
Amazon, because they're not the largest retailer in any of the EU countries where they operate. Nevertheless, Zalando and Amazon have mounted legal action to contest their designation. Nevertheless, Amazon's taken.
Yeah.
You
had gone back. Okay, I do that.
Comply with the Act and has created a new channel for submitting notices against suspected illegal products and content. Zalando told the BBC it will be complying with the Act. Wikipedia has made some changes in response to the DSA, but the foundation which supports the project says they should not affect users' everyday experience. It argues that the approach to regulation in the DSA is preferable to the approach of the Online Safety Bill. It has said some of the requirements in the UK legislation would be hard for it to comply with. Phil Bradley Schming, legal counsel at the Wikimedia Foundation, told the BBC, "Our hope is that all lawmakers emulate the DSA, understand the diverse internet ecosystem, protect safe, free, and public projects online."
And I kind of agree with them. I think the one that the EU has come up with is good. And I don't think the UK needs to have their own now. I think, but the fact that they are giving them access to all that data says they really mean it when they want to know what's going on. So I think that's terrific. So it seems like a good law to me. And if you guys remember, a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago, maybe, I was much more anti-EU because it seemed like they were always in the pockets of the big companies. But I've come to appreciate, seems like a lot of the things the EU is passing really does help consumers. So I'm slowly coming over to their side. So even an old geezer like me can change. So I just thought it was very good law, and I think it's implemented very nicely. So nobody seemed to know what was the name of that company? Do I see it here? I see Yandex. I see AliExpress, Airbnb. Yeah. Do you remember it?
I don't remember.
Oh, let me go back and see that name. See if I can look it up. Where is it? Zalando, Zalando. Okay. Let's see if I can look up. Oh, let me stop screen first. Okay. See if I can look up Zalando. Clothing. I see Zalando USA, UK, Germany. I guess I should say, who is Zalando? Founded in 2008 in Berlin, Zalando SE today is a leading European online platform for fashion and lifestyle. So I guess when Amazon said they weren't the biggest, I'll bet you Zalando is the bigger, and probably in the EU, they're probably bigger than Amazon, is my guess. And Wikipedia says Zalando SE is a publicly traded German online retailer of shoes, fashion, and beauty. So they started with clothes as opposed to books like Amazon did. Across Europe, the company was founded in 2008 by David Schneider, Robert Gens, and has more than 51 million active users in 25 European markets. So yeah, they're the biggest. Active in a variety of business fields, multi-brand online shopping, shopping club Zalando Lounge, outlets in 12 German cities, as well as logistics and marketing office for retailers. Generated revenue last year of 10.3 billion euros with 16,000 employees. Well, that's not that big. Anyway, I had never heard of them, so they're definitely a biggie. So we've gotten through all the stories tonight. Ted, you've done a great job once again, even though you kept us waiting in the beginning, but that's okay. You were worth it. I'll give you that. So, settled in the apartment now?
Yep.
Okay.
It's coming along.
So have you gotten back to your photography stuff?
I have. I'm about to think about it. No, not yet.
Okay. I'm rooting for you to get back to it because you seem to be doing pretty well with it before the move.
Yeah, but now I gotta hunker down and get back to the IT stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Got a new book. Always a library book. The library book is on the bookshelf.
What's the book? What's the name of it?
Let me go get it.
I just like to, like 34 years of programming, I was always getting another book.
Oh boy. It's gone.
Sounds like a big room, doesn't it, folks? I guess my mind will always have a little bit of the developer programmer in it because it still interests me a little bit. Not enough to make me go reading books anymore like I used to have to do. But and I have to say, the last 4 or 5 years, maybe 10 years that I was programming, because I started out in the 80s as a mainframe programmer, and I started learning a lot of server side stuff and Java stuff and C++, and so it was pretty good even at the end, as I was always learning new stuff. Go ahead.
I cannot find the book,
Oh.
which is a problem because it's a library book.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a problem.
So, but I did get another new book.
Okay.
Oh,
Wild Dallas Fort Worth.
that's right.
Okay. Now I've been to the airport and I stayed at a hotel very close to the airport. What's that? Hearst. Hearst, is it Hearst?
Yes.
Yeah, because the my very first mobile conference was in 2015, and one of the last what was it called? Barbecue. Oh, what the heck was it? That's where I met Jerry from Android Central. Matter of fact, he even sat with him at dinner one night. Boy, is he popular too. He gets around in that wheelchair big time too. Trying to think what the name of the event was going on for years, but I think I went to one of the last ones they had. Big Android Barbecue. Do you remember that?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I gathered the one I went to was like the next to the last or second from the last, but it was very interesting. Joshua, who I used to write articles for, he was there, and I met Jerry there, and one of the other guys from Android Central. So it was pretty interesting. So but your other book that you're looking for is a technical book, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
This can also be viewed as a technical book of sorts too. It
okay, you say so.
It details all the wildlife and natural trails in Dallas Fort Worth area, specifically North Texas. Yeah.
Okay. North Dallas, you mean?
No, North Texas.
Oh, North Texas. Okay.
The author considers, North Texas to be just Denton,
so you're going up
Dallas County, and some of the
Frisco and that up that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you find the book soon. Certainly before you have to return it.
Yep.
But you're in a new apartment, so this kind of stuff you have to expect to happen once in a while, right?
There it is.
Oh, you found it. Okay, good. Good. Now I don't have to worry about him all weekend.
Ta-da!
A+. What is A+? I don't know A+.
It's IT certification, CompTIA.
Okay, yeah. I was never much for going after the certification type stuff, but I worked with guys who were. And of course, in those days, everybody looked for Microsoft certifications because that's what made you more money generally. Anyway, we got through tonight. And don't forget, everybody is going to remind you once again, next week we will not be on Mobile Geezer. We'll be on Simply Your Device with Mike, and he's all excited about it. So we'll all be there, and then the following week it'll be back to Mobile Geezer. So tune in next week to Simply Your Device, 8 p.m., and you'll be, instead of coming from Tennessee, you'll be coming from Jersey. So thanks to everybody who came in. Thanks, Brian. As always, you're very kind. Thanks, Renz. Renz, I know you're busy. I'm always very happy when you can pop in. Thank all of you for showing up. And hopefully we will see you at Simply Your Device at Mike's channel next week. And we'll see you the week after that. So I hope everybody has a very blessed weekend. And let's always remember we all do better when we love each other. Here comes that pregnant pause.